Before we get into the video, make sure y'all hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. I mean, come on, what are you doing if you're not subbed to me by now? My content is fire, from stop motions, news videos, reviews, music occasionally. All my social media accounts are linked down below, and now, let's get straight to it. What is up, you guys? So, as you can tell by the title, I will be talking about my thoughts on the new batch of episodes of Earthspark that just dropped. When was this? Like last week? Very recently. I'm going to be giving you guys my favorite parts in each episode, and then at the end of the video, I'll be talking about my overall dislikes and things that I just don't really like about the show as a whole and these episodes too. So first episode here, 19. First off, I just want to say, Keith David as Grimlock, guys, that was so perfect. I didn't think I needed Keith David as Grimlock, but now that I've heard him, I need him voicing Grimlock for the remainder of whatever appearances Grimlock's going to be in future cartoons, movies, or whatever. He fits the character so perfectly, and I cannot wait to see more of this version of Grimlock and hopefully season 2 of Earthspark. Grimlock training Jawbreaker was pretty cool. It had a nice little arc to it, and how Jawbreaker scanned his dino mode from fossils that opened up from one of the mountains that they were training in was pretty cool too. One thing that sort of reminded me when Grimlock was going crazy, terrorizing the town and stuff under the Mandroid mind control, I don't know if I'm the only one, but it sort of reminded me of like a Hulk storyline from either the movies or the comics. I don't know, it just has that vibe to it, like a villain is mind controlling Hulk to destroy a city, and the good guys are trying to, knock it out of him and put him back into normal state. So I don't know if I'm the only one, but I thought that reminded me of a Hulk storyline. But JB and Grimlock's relationship was super cute too. I just want to say, like, it was so cool seeing Grimlock learn from Jawbreaker. Now, moving right along into episode 20, the opening of Swindle and Optimus fighting was pretty cool. I loved that chase scene, Swindle using his wheels to skate across the road for a couple seconds there. It was a pretty cool action scene. And we also see Optimus with his trailer in this episode. I can't remember if this is not the first time or the first time we see Optimus with a trailer in this cartoon, but if it is, that's a pretty cool little reference there. And then, speaking of references, Wheeljack introduces Teletran 1. It was perfect. It had such a great design to it. I loved the yellow and the orange and the blue all over it. It was just great to see Teletran 1 in a modern cartoon. Besides, I think it was in the War for Cybertron trilogy too. So, and Wheeljack's voice, I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed this when I first heard him talk in this new batch of episodes. He sounds a lot like Foosh Robo, the tour reviewer on YouTube. He sounds a lot like him with that sort of, I don't know if it's like a country accent or what, but he's got that accent that reminds me a lot of Foosh on YouTube. And then Optimus revealing the Matrix. I can't remember if he did this in previous episodes, but if this is the first time, what an entrance. It looked so perfect. I love the blue energy glowing from it. And we also see 13 primes. It's not 12, it's 13. I do think we've gotten 13 primes before in other canon media for Transformers. I'm not sure on that. But it's interesting to see who the different primes are and going to be. We already know of Quintus Prime. There's one that I remember that obviously looks like Alpha Trion. So we pretty much already know 2 of them. I'm going to be doing a separate video at some point soon on who these 13 primes are and who they could be. So stay tuned for that. We also get a glimpse of Cybertronian mode Optimus Prime in this little flashback sequence here. I would love to see a Legacy Generations version of this figure, a Voyager class, or hell, I'd even take a Deluxe class Earthspark figure of the Cybertronian design. From what we see of it in that split few seconds there, it looked like a pretty good design. I would like a figure of that. And Quintus Prime giving the kids the gauntlets is a pretty cool idea, that sort of human and Transformer dynamic. I am sort of sick of it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sort of sick of seeing that whole humans are chosen for this sort of MacGuffin in the Transformers universe. I'm just so over it. We don't need stories like this every single time. But it was cool how they handled it, I thought. And we find out that the Amber Stone belonged to Quintus Prime too, which is pretty cool. When they're fighting with Megatron's hologram that Mandroid created, it was a clever way of showing how powerful the evil version of Megatron was in this continuity before he obviously switched over to the good guy side of things. So, and we see him using his mace a lot. Like, in the modern era, I don't think we've ever seen Megatron use a mace this much in an episode. We did see him use it occasionally in the 2007 movie. I think in the IDW comics at one point he used a mace, but you don't really see it too often in modern media, so it was really cool to see that. And Robbie's new powers that we see in this new batch of episodes, and particularly in this episode when he turned in like to a bigger version of himself with like the force around him, it was pretty cool. It opens up possibilities for other power sets that Robbie and his sister could have. So and the Mandroid wanting the Amber Stone at the end of that episode, it was a nice little cliffhanger and a lead into episode 21, which, speaking of it, moving along to episode 21, Starscream right off the bat. Anytime he's on screen is absolutely awesome. I really do think they're knocking it out of the park with Starscream in this iteration. The Dweller, the worm sort of thing, I'm wondering, is he a Driller reference to the Dark of the Moon, I guess you could say Decepticon drone that I think Shockwave created and he commanded throughout the Chicago battle in that movie? I'm just wondering, Dweller, Driller, are they connected? Is it a reference to Driller from the Dark of the Moon movie? I don't know, but it's kind of cool to think about. Megatron and Starscream's backstory is hinted at in this episode and in other episodes of this show. I really want to hear more about this. It does seem like an interesting story that they could tell, so it was nice hearing about that. The Starscream and hashtag dynamic and the lines that they shared together was pretty cool here and there. It was brief, but it was nice to see that little storyline develop there. Now into episode 22. The Robbie being sick storyline was a little bit shocking to me. I didn't expect them to do that with one of the kids. I don't know, maybe one of the Transformers gets sick, or maybe the parents or something, but I didn't expect it to be one of the kids, so that was kind of cool to see. And then Mo versus Mandroid wasn't too bad towards the end. I don't know, I didn't have a lot of notes for this particular episode. It sort of felt like filler. I don't know. There was a lot of humans in this episode. It wasn't really Transformers heavy. It was more so about the humans, you know, so this is probably one of my least favorite episodes, but the way Quintus Prime visited Morgan towards the end of the show too was a nice touch. I did like us hearing him talk and all that and interacting with Morgan. And, you know, at the end, obviously, Robbie is going to be better again, so that was kind of nice to see a nice little happy ending to the episode. Now, moving into episode 3. Right off the bat, we see that Optimus finds out that Ghost, there's something up with them. They're not right in the head with how they run as an organization, and he sends Bumblebee to see what's up with that. The Mandroid soldiers were cool that we see throughout well, not the Mandroid soldiers, the Ghost soldiers, I should say. The ones that are like AI robot type things, like reverse engineered Transformers technology. It was pretty cool seeing them in action. The brother versus sister banter between the two Ghost leads added some extra depth to the episode that I thought was kind of nice too. Episode 24 now. Mandroid and Croft, the opening banner with that was interesting, and how Mandroid just goes right into the portal was kind of funny. Shockwave versus Terrans was kind of cool at first, and then him, you know, getting out of that Mandroid mind control and seeing him in action was pretty nice. I really like how they're handling Shockwave in this new iteration. I think him and Starscream and Megatron are my favorite Decepticons that they've handled so far in Earthspark. Croft having an active space bridge is an interesting idea. I'm wondering where they take this, because correct me if I'm wrong, but at the end of this season, I don't think the space bridge technology that they have access to is destroyed. So I'm wondering where they're going to take this, and it is a nice idea that they're going with here. The final battle, the way it started, was pretty cool with all the Autobots rolling up and stuff like that. I thought that was nice. The hand weapon that Croft used in this episode was crazy, how it just deactivated all the Transformers like that. I thought that was a pretty cool little idea that they did there. And we sort of reveal their plans of Ghost wanting to conquer Cybertron in this episode. I can't remember if they've talked about it in previous episodes, but they specifically talk about it here. And I do think it's an interesting idea, but at the same time, again, I'm like, why do we need so much human interference? Why do we need so many different anti-Transformers government organizations and all these newer iterations of Transformers? It sort of gets old after a while, you know, but I do want to see where they take this and how they handle the idea, if they do pursue it in season 2, if they do one, or in a future season. I don't know. But on to the last episode, episode 25. Mandroid comes in, and his change is absolutely insane. We find out that he was gone for a year in, I guess, space-time or Cybertronian time, but in Earth time, it was only 1 day. That dude looks crazy as hell and armed to the teeth. We get the reveal of him teaming up with 2 Sharkticon dudes, which was crazy. I kind of like that idea. And the scene where the Sharkticons eat the parents was kind of cool. And don't hate me for this, but I thought it was kind of funny at the same time. I have no idea why. I just sort of chuckled at it. But John teaming up with the Multibots was a cute idea. I do like the way they handled John's character. And there's a little reference that John sneaks in here around the scene. He says, "Rescue bots to the rescue," which is obviously a reference to, you know, the More So Kitty cartoon from Rescue Bots from a few years ago. So that was kind of cool to hear that little reference. I do want to talk about, before I go into any further notes about this last episode, for anybody looking to watch this show, it does have a lot of kiddie factor to it, but I wouldn't say it's as bad as, say, Rescue Bots, or a lot of elements from, say, Armada or Cybertron. It's very much in its own way a mature cartoon, so just go into it having that in mind. But next up, Blitzwave, his name, which is one of the Sharkticons, it seems like a reference to Blitzwing and Shockwave. It's the 2 names put together. I don't know if that was its intention, but it's kind of cool either way. We find out that Optimus and Elita 1 and all the other ones, Megatron, I think Grimlock 2, got possessed by Mandroid, and seeing that whole little fight scene was pretty cool. Megatron versus Twitch, Mandroid versus Thrash, I thought was a nice pair to kind of end off the final battle and make it a bit more climactic for the last act. And when Starscream and the other Decepticons came in, the Seekers and Hardtop and Shockwave, I thought that was a pretty nice entrance for them to help out. I do really like the way they're handling Starscream. I want to see where they go with this guy. In the finale with the kids fixing up everything with the Amber Stone and all that and getting it back, and you see the energy glowing around Earth and all that, I thought it was a nice little crescendo to the final battle. And of course, at the end, in a nice little cartoon for kids, they all go off looking into the sunset, and the show just ends like that. It's a little bit abrupt for my taste, but, you know, it is what it is. It is a kid's cartoon. But, yeah, that's pretty much all the, you know, positives I had for these episodes. Now on to the negative. I do think this is a really good Transformers cartoon. It's decent. But, again, I feel like we're still missing that sort of, I don't know how else to put it, but saying right now, like, different ideas for Transformers other than just the typical G1 but different. I don't know, I just feel like we really got to get back to the 2000s, late 90s, early 2010s way of thinking with Transformers, because I know I'm not the only one thinking about this, but, like, A lot of the character choices and the way they're handling the humans, I mean, we've seen this many times before in the past 15 years, you know, so. But other than that, I do think it's a nice cartoon to watch if you're a Transformers fan. I had a pretty good time watching these new batch of episodes and pretty much the whole show for the most part. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I want to talk about in this video. Let me know your thoughts down below on this new batch of Earthspark episodes and on the first season as a whole. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye!